Welcome to our webinar this evening. We're very excited that we've had so much interest in this topic. So tonight we'll be talking about imposter scams, how to identify and protect yourself from social engineering scams. So joining us this evening, well, first of all, I'm Lindsay. I'll be the host tonight. We have Lacey Harbert. She's our fraud prevention specialist, and Tony Cox. He is our risk manager. So these are the best of the best when it comes to fraud prevention and identification. So thank you guys so much for joining us tonight.
Thank you for having us.
All right, Tony, you want to get us started? Let's talk about tonight what we're going to talk about and the objectives we have.
Of course. Thank you, Lindsay. As she mentioned, my name is Tony Cox. I'm the Risk and Fraud Manager here at Campus USA. So let's go over today's objectives when it comes to imposter scams. So the first thing we're going to discuss, of course, is what are imposter scams. We're going to go over different types of social engineering. We're going to go over some definitions and overall how it can affect you or the consumers out there in general. We're also going to discuss how they actually do it. So the steps they take, the different methods they can use, so that you guys are aware of what actually can occur out there and how you can help prevent it, which is the next step here. And so, how you guys can remain diligent, be proactive. We're going to show you some tips and tricks of what to look for and to, make sure you and your family are safe when it comes to scams and frauds out there.
Yeah.
So Lacey, if you want to take away with our definitions.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Thanks for getting us started, Tony. So yeah, we're going to go over imposter scams tonight. And what they are exactly is someone posing as a business or an individual, maybe somebody you know, in order to gain information from you. This could be personal information, but really the end goal is always financial gain. So imposter scams are a form of social engineering, and underneath that umbrella, we have spoofing and phishing. So they are very similar fraud schemes, but they are handled a little bit differently. So spoofing, for example, is if somebody calls, texts, or emails you, and it shows it's from that company or that individual. So your caller ID would reflect that it's that person or business. And they're going to provide a sense of urgency. They want you to act fast. They don't want you to think logically, and they just want to get that personal information from you to lead to financial gain, but very quickly. Where phishing is very similar. They will pose as a business or an individual, but they are willing to take a bit more time with you to acquire any information, big or small, and then in hopes that they will have financial gain from that actual conversation.
I thought this example was so interesting, Lacey, because honestly, I kind of always thought of spoofing and phishing. I mean, they are kind of hand in hand, but I thought it was the same. So it's interesting to hear the difference that phishing, they're willing to take their time a little bit, but spoofing is really just like, let's get that information. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's a really important point.
So the types of social engineering schemes that we see the most, like we mentioned, is phone calls. So your caller ID will reflect that individual or business, text messages as well. We also see very commonly on computers pop-ups from antivirus or well-known companies like Microsoft. And then also really at the beginning of the pandemic, we saw this on the rise, but website spoofing and employment opportunities. A lot of people unfortunately lost their jobs or were seeking employment, remote work specifically, and they targeted people looking for jobs, and they would pose as businesses or companies looking to hire people, and then they pry upon that and take advantage of you, unfortunately.
So common, and I think they're even going through like really legitimate channels, even on LinkedIn you can get a job offer, you can really feel like you're getting a real job, but
Right.
then they start throwing those red flags that we'll get into in a little bit.
Exactly.
All right, so first we're going to look at some statistics just to kind of show you guys how important and how impactful fraud can be to the consumers and to people we know and love. So first, the FTC reported in 2021 over 5.9 billion in losses. 2022 is even higher, and 2023 is definitely looking a little shaky to start.
Yeah.
So unfortunately, 1 in 5 people have reported a loss due to imposter scams. So if you look around a room of 5 people, at least one of them has had it. So that's 20%, which is, a scary number to think about. And then the average victim we have here loses about $500 and spends 30 hours resolving the crime. I mean, we will talk about all the data and information that could be stolen. And so when you think about actually fixing that and keeping yourself protected, it can definitely be a lot time consuming. And then the big thing we want to talk about is the misconception. A lot of people out there think that only older people or elderly people are targeted for scams and fraud. But here we show the stat of 41% of adults between the ages of 20 and 29 have reported fraud with scams. And when you think about it, the younger generation is just as susceptible. They are coming into the industry. They're new to banking. They're new to looking for jobs. And so you think about these, that it really is every age could be susceptible. So you think about these young people that are getting new bank accounts and they're learning. So you see calls from your financial institutions and you get a little worried. So definitely remember that when you're working with your family. So all those out there today, think about your family members that are younger or those folks that are older than you, and kind of think about that.
Yeah, I told a friend of mine who her daughter actually just opened up a checking account, and she's a teenager. And I said, this information is good for her to have too. Like, she has a cell phone, she has access to online banking, and she is just as susceptible as I am. And the only thing that really can protect you is the education to know, when to be kind of on guard. And this was a really interesting, all of these statistics were so good for us to know. And sending out an email to our members and knowing who should we invite. Well, we invited like everybody, right?
Yes.
Because we can't discriminate, because fraudsters don't either. So
100%.
It's a different world, digital world where
mhm.
kids have cell phones for safety reasons, but it's a big risk. Dating is online,
Yeah,
banking is online. We're not handling cash. So it's just those little things we don't think about that.
and it happens so fast, so
Right,
fast.
exactly. So some red flags to look for here, and we'll go more in depth later, but certainly my number one red flag is misspelled words, grammar issues. If you're reading the email or text message and it doesn't make sense, you keep reading to make sense of it. That's a huge red flag. If it's coming from a business, it should be very official, to the point, clear and concise. So things to think about. And then also, if somebody calls you or reaches out to you and asks you to verify your username, password, or maybe a one-time access code for security reasons, definitely there's no need for that. And we'll go over that later. But these are just things to really look for when somebody is contacting you or reaching out to you in all the various methods.
Yeah, the misspelled words and grammar, that always gets me too. That's probably number one.
Yeah, most professional places have a spell check at least. So
Yeah, we tend to do that with our emails to our members. We tend to double check, triple
you
check.
guys are very good at that. Very good at that.
Yeah, we try.
All right, so we're going to look at some of the examples of these red flags that Lacey's mentioned to us today. So this first one here, IRS email, out the gate, you don't have to say anything besides IRS, and that already is a little bit scary. But first thing to look at, of course, is a logo. So a lot of people think that if a logo is in an email, it's official. But again, people can copy and paste logos from anywhere on the internet. So you see the IRS and a lot of things, and we'll talk about some of the tactics. But one of the things is fear. So most people get a little fear in their heart when they think of the IRS or get a letter or email from them. So again, that's out the gate, you're thinking, okay, I should review this email. And then of course down here, the age-old philosophy, if it's too good to be true, it probably is. This email here actually explains that they're getting a refund, and I don't know the last time I've ever actually gotten the IRS to give me extra money back or send something saying, hey, we
contact you directly, right?
Yeah, contact me directly to tell me. They're usually not the ones to do that. So again, that's exciting. So you're going through a lot of emotions here between being scared and now excited. And then hovering over links. So a really good thing that a lot of people don't know is that links can say anything. Someone can edit a link in an email or a document to be anything. So here you see the get started is hyperlinked. Hovering over links is very important because you can see here it says getyourprivateinfo.com. So definitely not not a link you want to go to. If you're on mobile device, you want to be careful because of course you could press it and accidentally go to the website. So something you can always do is just go directly to the website you know and trust. Most people know how to get to the IRS website, or you can Google it. And then I'm actually reminder is misspelled at the top. I've always forget this. It sneaks in there, but that's a perfect example, and that's something that should have been caught in an email. But final reminder, again, kind of that fear, but also reminder misspelled. That would have already kind of thrown me off of the email. But yeah, some things to think about there.
Yeah, and also you need to create an e-refund account, and we will transfer the payment to your specified bank account. Like, okay, what kind of information are they looking for you to create this account?
Right.
Right. And
Yeah.
typically they already have everything.
Yeah.
Like, I got my refund to begin with. That's why do they need extra stuff? Yeah. So when you really do sit back and think about these things, it starts to piece together.
This was probably a very common one that was going around during, a lot of those tax credits that, were being sent out to people during the pandemic, and, you're expecting it. So, and the fraudsters know that, like, they're expecting something from the IRS. Let's go ahead and send out a batch of emails.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so another example we have here, again, mentioned Microsoft. So again, a notification, a little bit of fear here. You see an unusual sign in, Windows user alert. You're a little bit, on high alert from that email alone. You see the email address itself has no --reply _ msteam at Outlook. That is a very unusual email from an official company like Microsoft. You typically wouldn't see something like that. So something just kind of an early red flag. We talk about emotion a lot in this because fraudsters and scammers do rely on emotion. So in this one, your first emotion is, worried, and then your next emotion is interest. You want to your curiosity. You see that giant blue link at the bottom that says review recent activity, and you're thinking, oh, okay, let me see what's going on. And so again, like we mentioned in the last one example, the review recent activity could lead to any link at all. Just because it has it hyperlinked does not mean it's that. Some things we've noticed too that's been pretty common is trying to throw things in there that are legitimate to make the email seem more. So the hyperlink there that says Microsoft.com could lead somewhere else, but it looks like legitimately Microsoft's email. And then the newest thing has been including reference numbers. So you see there, it's got a reference number that means nothing, but it makes it feel a little bit more legitimate that Microsoft's actually reaching out to you and giving you some sort of reference number. And typically that's not the case. So again, another one where you'd want to visit Microsoft directly. You probably already have an account with Microsoft. They're usually not sending these type of alerts and this kind of activity here. So
I don't think I have a Microsoft account. I've probably gotten one of these emails.
Yes, yeah, it's very common. A lot of the world's on Microsoft, so it's not a shot in the dark. Too bad to
Send
assume
it out
someone
there.
has it. Yeah, for sure. All right, and the last example we're going to look at here is, text messaging. So a lot of people use text message, of course. I mean, most of us would rather answer a text than answer a phone call anyway nowadays. And so fraudsters know that. So in this text here, you see them asking if you verify if you did this transaction via Zelle. So again, that first emotion, $1,000 on my account, that's definitely not me. And so you answer no instinctively because that is, what you'd want to do in that instance. And now they know you're on your phone. So they've kind of pretexted you with the idea that, in this example, Campus USA reached out to you, and then they follow up with a phone call. And like Lacey mentioned before, with the spoofing, they can pretend to be from any phone number. And so now you're immediately assuming that is legitimate because you got the text, now you got the phone call. And then another, of course, with this example here, asking for your username. We'll go into this a little bit more with Lacey as well, but we're not going to ask you these things. So of course, that's kind of a red flag out the gate there too. So just being careful with text messages. Again, so many people review their text messages, which you should review your text messages. But again, that fear and offering a solution that could give up personal information is a worry for this text.
Right.
Definitely. And I think also like that sense of urgency, right? Like they're like,
Mhm.
okay, and they probably responded really fast here.
Oh
Thanks.
yeah.
Okay, you responded. We'll freeze everything, but you have to verify something for us first. And so your knee-jerk reaction might be to just go ahead and do it so they can take care of it for you.
Mhm.
They've already fixed part of it, right?
Right.
Mhm.
Yeah.
I received a call one time in regards to a transaction on my card, and I'm working at campus getting a call
Right.
from campus, and I hung up, and
Oh
I'm just
no.
going to call back and make sure there's actually something wrong with my card, and there was, but
Yeah.
made me feel a little bit better.
Yeah.
So yeah, certainly some things to look for here. Phone calls is the big one. This is what we're seeing the most of recently, which is those spoofing phone calls. So you're going about your day, you're working, or you're taking care of the kids, running errands, and you're busy. And you look at your phone, and the caller ID says your financial institution or utility company is another one we've seen recently. And of course, you want to answer, because why would they be calling you unless it was important?
Hmm.
And so you get on the phone, and again, right out the gate, they have those red flags. They're providing a sense of urgency. Something is wrong. You need to fix it immediately. So they may ask you for security reasons to verify a username, sorry, a password, or a secure access code. They may tell you that the transaction specifically needs to be stopped with a purchase of gift cards or a wire. And while that sounds silly, in the moment you're scared, you're trying to protect your account. And so, of course, you're going to verify those security questions or those codes. You're going to want to stop that transaction any way possible. And a lot of people fall for this. So just know that if somebody does reach out to you and they're asking you these questions, when in doubt, hang up, call the company directly. We're
Hmm.
never going to be upset with you. If you want to hang up on me, it's perfectly fine. I completely understand. You
Please
know,
do.
You work in
I'd rather
fraud.
you, yeah, I want you to protect yourself and feel safe in that moment. And, not feeling safe is very scary. So,
Mhm.
certainly, if they get angry with you for wanting to hang up, that's just another thing to look out for. We would never get angry. And then also, just in regards to the security questions, if you call into a call center or if you call into some place, no matter where it is, they may ask security questions or ask you to verify a code because you are calling them and they don't know who you are. So they want to, validate you or verify you. But if I'm calling you, I know I'm calling you. So there's no need for me to ask for that information. And specifically, your username and password is, to me, as unique as your social security number. That
Mhm.
is for you and you only. Nobody needs that at all. So just again, think about those red flags in the moment. Think about what they're asking you, their tone of voice, or if they're upset with you. It really would benefit you to take a moment to pause and kind of think about those red flags.
Please hang up on Lacey. Just
Yeah.
when in doubt, hang up on Lacey. Not worth.
Yeah.
Just kidding.
Right away. Right away. You can call her back though.
Yeah, of
I'd high
course.
five you if you did, honestly.
Yeah.
Good for you.
Yeah.
So the common entities that we see the most in regards to your computer, pop-ups are number one. And that could be anything from Microsoft to antivirus pop-ups are huge. They'll usually have, flashing red text or please click this link or call this number to resolve this virus immediately. Don't do it. I would disregard. If you have antivirus, go to your antivirus software directly. There's no need to interact with any kind of pop up like that. It's just not how it works. In regards to phone calls, we see, like we mentioned, financial institutions, number one, utility companies. IRS would be one where we've mentioned in the email example that you could get an email from the IRS, but sometimes you could get a spoof call from somebody
Mhm.
claiming to be the government, that you're in financial trouble or someone in your family is in trouble. And they want you to just act fast and pay in those very strange methods, like we mentioned. And then, really, the worst of the worst is in a time of need. So, in Florida, hurricanes, for example, charities really take action during that time to raise money to help people. But fraudsters also pry on
Yep.
that too. And so you might see an uptick in phone calls, text messages, or emails asking you to donate. just go to the website directly and donate. If you do want to be a charitable person, it's safer to go to the website directly. And then person-to-person payments is one that we're seeing more often because it is on the rise. So that would be Zelle, Cash App, Venmo. These are things to think about when you're sending money to somebody to potentially buy something, but maybe it's sight unseen. Or, I want to include wires in that, even though it's not directly like a faster payment, if you will. But that money is gone. Once you send it, it's gone. And trying to recover it is sometimes quite difficult, if not impossible, honestly. So just think about who you're sending money to. Have you seen that item itself that you're looking at online? If you're buying a puppy, that's a big one. Just be cognizant of who you're sending money to and why.
Great examples there for sure.
Yeah.
So let's go into some tactics of how they actually do the fraud and conduct the scams here. So the first one we've talked about a few times, but it's really important, is the fraudsters will pretend to be from an organization or a person you know. We've talked about it, but spoof calls, someone can mask their phone number to be from look like it's from anybody. So don't trust the caller ID and assume it's legitimate just because it has that on there. Again, that technology is out there and it's really being used a lot heavier. I remember when it first was a thing, everyone was like, how is this even possible? And you're like, oh no, that's technology for you.
Yeah.
So be cautious of that. That is a tactic that's very common. Often another tactic they have is there's a problem or a prize. So again, they prey on that emotion. We've talked about it before, but it's the fear that something's going to happen or the excitement that something good will happen.
Right.
And we've seen, unfortunately, the problem side, the fear side happens a lot during holiday seasons. So we're going into Memorial Day weekend. People are traveling, people are getting, using their cards. And so a common one that can happen is someone will call, pretending to be from your financial institution and let you know that your card is going to be blocked unless you verify, XYZ. And so these are moments where they know they kind of have you, you're worried, you need gas, you need, food. And so, and we've seen that with utility companies as well. And that kind of goes into the next one here of fraudsters, pressuring you and scaring you to act. So we've seen, heard some utility companies that actually will call, state that they will cut off utilities if you don't do certain things or don't give up certain information. And you're sitting there. I mean, I don't know the last time my utility companies called me, but if they did, I'd be pretty worried. So, them saying they're going to cut off water or something. And then the last one here we have is, fraudsters will request that you pay in a specific way. So kind of circling back to that, we've seen these companies asking, these fraudsters proposing as the companies asking for money in certain ways. So, buying gift cards, scratching them off and giving them the code, wiring money, as Lacey mentioned, or sending over crypto. When in doubt, if you think about it, your utility company typically doesn't request money that way. I don't know the last time if they ask you for some gift cards, it's probably not legitimate, but it's difficult because it sounds silly kind of, but in that moment, again, that emotion, you're freaking out and you want to do these things. So, just take a step back, think about what they're asking from you and if it makes sense or if it's normal. And a lot of times the answer will be no. And again, that, Lacey mentioned too, hanging up on them, just hang up on them, call back. We're not going to ask you to pay your loans in crypto. So you're fine there. But so these are some common tactics we're seeing a lot.
Yeah. One thing.
Sorry. No, I was going to say, this reminded me of during the holidays, usually on social media, Campus USA Credit Union, we run a lot of giveaways. So we do like 10, 12 days of giveaways, and that is so common. So fraudsters will create a brand new page. They'll steal a few of our pictures, steal our profile picture, pretend to be Campus USA Credit Union, and then start commenting and trying to reach out to the people who are engaging with our giveaway, saying, hey, you won. I sent you a message, go ahead and check it. And then they get the message and they're trying to actually get information from them. So of course, now we try to share that in our social media. Like, we will never contact you directly. We'll never ask for your information, like all of this stuff to just try to protect people. But man, they just try to take the fun out of everything too, right?
They do. I love the
They really
holiday
do.
time. It's so much fun what you guys do. So yeah, we even saw during that time, I know people, fraudsters were posing as us and then friend requesting people. And just for those out there that don't know, businesses cannot friend request you. So that is already a red flag because because,
Unless their page is set up the right way. But yeah.
Campus doesn't want to be my friend.
Yeah, we want to be your friend, just, not that way. So
Right.
I was going to say too, in regards to paying in a specific way, one thing that we see a lot with people looking to make more money or invest in something is cryptocurrency investment scams. So they will, you're looking to make extra money and invest in a business, or somebody reaches out to you and says, I have this great idea, but you have to send me Bitcoin or cryptocurrency. Just something to think about, that, it doesn't really work that way right now anyway.
Right, exactly.
So here are just some ways to protect yourself. And we kind of went over a few of these, but I just really want to nail these in. In regards to your computer, just making sure that you use a reputable antivirus software, and you can schedule that to run in the middle of the night so it doesn't really bother you during the day. It'll have a little pop-up and let you know if it found anything or not, but certainly it's not a window browser pop-up that you would typically see with fraudster scams. You would have it at the little bottom of your computer, if you will. So just make sure you have something on your computer protecting you, and then also make sure that you are updating your computer, not just the computer itself, but the software that you use, the browsers that you use. All of these things update individually. And the reason why they update is they found a loophole in the system or a problem with the system, and they're trying to patch those problems. And if you're not updating your software, your browsers, and computer frequently, unfortunately, you might be susceptible to those loopholes, and those fraudsters will take advantage of that. So just make sure you keep that up to date. A minute of inconvenience is really worth it in regards to your protection. And then when it comes to emails, like we mentioned, if you get anything that seems a little alarming, you can hover over that link with your mouse button. You don't have to click it. I'll tell you exactly where you're going to go. But you can also turn on spam filters. I still have a few that will just slip right in through my main inbox, and I can just flag it and report it as spam or phishing. And then it'll start filtering that to my spam folder. And I just delete it. I don't even look at them honestly anymore. And then also something to think about is making sure you can set up two-factor authentication. If you have the option, do it. That minute of inconvenience to receive that additional code is so worth it in regards to your protection. So what I mean by that is you type in your username, your password, and then it wants to text or email a one-time code. It's so worth it, because your username and password, unfortunately, is just not enough to protect you anymore. Having that extra barrier is worth it.
A lot of great information, Lacey. That was a lot.
And so I just want to provide some really great resources that we personally use, but obviously the public can too, and please do so. So we have the Internet Crime Complaint Center and the Federal Trade Commission. The Internet Crime Complaint Center is new to me. This was actually recommended to me by a local police department when I went to file a police report. Unfortunately, they are just being bombarded with internet crime because it is just the new thing. We're in a digital world. And so on top of filing a police report, you can file your internet crime to the IC3 and also the FTC, the Federal Trade Commission. What's great about the Internet Crime Complaint Center is it reports directly to the FBI. So they gather all that information and it lets them know what's trending in your area or nationwide. And it's just a great way to report what happened to you in order to protect other people possibly in the future. And then the FTC we love because, again, you can report the crime that happened to you to both of these websites, but a lot of the information that we provided today, the statistics specifically, came from the FTC. So they're a great resource to learn about what's currently trending, the statistics, how to protect yourself. So if you do want to get curious and dig in, I highly recommend this website.
Yeah, Lacey, I didn't realize that the FTC had like a consumer website until we did our very first webinar on identity theft and fraud.
Yeah.
And you shared that with everyone. And since then, I've subscribed to their alerts and I read their articles. It's not only important for me and my family, my friends, I can share this information with, but as a campus employee, to be able to be on like get the information as soon as it's coming out from the FTC and then sharing it with our members to help them protect themselves and their money, their family. It's a great resource. So thank you for sharing that again.
Yeah, of course.
Very
It's
good.
also a great dinner table topic. So if
It
you
is. It's
need something
fun.
to talk about.
Every Thanksgiving, I talk about it with my family. It's great.
You know what the recent scam tactic is? Oh, you
Interesting.
don't? I do. We did have one question in our chat, and it was from one of our attendees who said, I've recently been receiving a lot of phone calls from the Gainesville area asking me if I have received my 2023 Medicare card. I immediately stated, I have my card, thank you, and then hung up. My
Mhm.
question is, how can I report something like that, or who do I report it to?
Very good
Yeah,
question.
Yeah.
Lacey, you want to take that one or?
sure. I mean, certainly, I get those calls too in
Yeah.
regards to other things. The joke is lately the extended car warranty one.
Yeah.
I always block those numbers. I mean, it's a lot simple. It's more simpler now than it used to be with a
Mhm.
cell phone, where you can kind of click on the number without calling it and block it that way. Unfortunately, they are very smart and they continue to change that number and call you. I would just recommend reporting it to the IC3. You can report it to the local police department if you want, but unfortunately, with them being so bombarded with their normal day to day and the internet crime, I can't guarantee anything will really come from that. But reporting it to the IC3 and the FTC is just a really great way for them to be on top of it as well, because they don't, nobody knows unless you tell them,
Mhm.
right? So
Right.
that's just a great way to report it. But unfortunately, other than blocking the number, they may just continue to call you with different numbers, which is kind of the bummer of it.
Right. Well, the most important thing here is what this person did, right?
Right.
Hanging up.
Said, I have
Yes.
my
Good job.
card and
Hang
hung
up.
up. So
Yes. Great job.
you're already
Great
ahead.
job.
Honestly,
But
I'd be like, thank you. Bye.
yeah, exactly. Exactly. All right. Well, that's it for this evening. And thank you guys so much.
Thanks
And
for
we'll
having
see.
us.
Yeah,
Yes. Thank you so much for
absolutely.
doing this.
Looking
Appreciate
forward
that.
to the next one.
Yes.